This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
And good evening, everyone. We're beginning tonight with an important ruling from the Environmental Protection Agency. It's concluded that greenhouse gases are a danger to our health and that they must be regulated. The timing of the announcement was no coincidence. It came as diplomats from the United States, China, and nearly 200 other countries were gathering in Copenhagen today for the largest conference on climate change ever. A two-week meeting aimed at forging an agreement to curb greenhouse gases. Wyatt Andrews is in Washington tonight. Wyatt, what impact do you think this EPA ruling will have on the conference in Copenhagen?
Well, Katie, this gives the president the claim to an historic first here in the United States. This is the first time any U.S. government has declared that greenhouse gases endanger health and that carbon dioxide, which is a part of the atmosphere and every breath we take, is subject to regulation. The EPA found that CO2 and 5 other greenhouse gases are a threat to public health and welfare, specifically because they contribute to man-made global warming.
Greenhouse gases from human activity are increasing at unprecedented rates and are affecting our environment and threatening our health.
The finding will not mean immediate new limits on CO2.
Nothing in today's action requires any regulatory action.
But limits are in the works, and they're well known. The auto industry has already agreed to cut tailpipe pollution by 950 million tons and raise car mileage standards from around 28 to 39 miles per gallon by 2016. The big industrial polluters, power plants, and steel mills have been alerted that one day CO2 cuts are coming anywhere emissions exceed 25,000 tons per year. The good news is that small businesses and farms are apparently off the hook.
Only the largest emitters from power plants and cars and trucks will be covered.
But the bad news, according to global warming skeptics like Senator James Inhofe,
it would affect everyone who's buying electricity,
is that cuts in CO2 will increase the price of electric power and lead to cuts in jobs.
It would have a devastating effect on employment. It would cost in taxes millions and billions, and in terms of jobs, probably millions of jobs.
The timing of this announcement also had a political edge. The president can now promise the world in Copenhagen that if Congress doesn't cut CO2 in energy legislation, he'll do it in regulation. He also hopes big business will be scared into supporting a climate change law because business has more clout in Congress than it has at EPA. Katie?
And Wyatt, there was a major international climate conference, of course, in Kyoto, Japan in 1997. What is different this time around?
You know, Katie, looking back, then President Bush, backed away from a climate change treaty because China and India would not promise CO2 cuts. This time, President Obama thinks he can get a more concrete promise from both of those countries.
All right, Wyatt Andrews in Washington. Wyatt, thank you. Now to a more immediate forecast for the environment. It's going to be a stormy week for much of this country. Southern California may get up to 4 inches of rain tonight, and that could trigger mudslides in areas burned by recent wildfires. That same storm could bring 2 feet of snow to northern Arizona and Colorado, and then it's heading east. Heavy snow is expected in Chicago by tomorrow night. Now, today in Chicago is